Thank you, respected Chair, DG, Dr. Arvind Gupta ji, Colonel Gautam. It's interesting to come here the third time, and every time you wonder what is the next topic we should speak on. And today you actually, in the opening speech, Arvind sir removed quite a few co-ops because Arthashastra has been now so worked on three areas, and you gave a very beautiful strategy saying that we should try to rework Arthashastra on three levels. One is the academic level, which the researchers and scholars can use. The practitioners, like right from the IAFS and IAS, civil servants to maybe management, people in the corporate world. And the third is for the popular, which probably will inspire the next generation to work towards Arthashastra. Interestingly, all are correlated, yet they can have their independent existence. So what I'm going to actually present is that I've been thinking about working on these three areas. So at the department, we are working on the academic scholarly research level. We've been working in the academic corporate world, so these two books have been quite the practicing part of it. Interestingly, quite a few companies and quite a few practitioners, including the armed forces, have been using this in various ways. But interesting is there's a lot of popular work happening on the Arthashastra. A little bit of a contribution from my side, the Corporate Chanakya, the book, and recently wrote another book which again became a bestseller. This is again a case study approach, where I take D. Shivanandan, the former Director General of Maharashtra Police, how he used the Saptanga. Of course, he was not aware of it. So I bring in the model M as a case study. So what I'm going to do is taking this extension. Interestingly, popularity can also guide people towards academic research. So academicians may or may not go popular, but sometimes what happens is that the other way also is possible. I think it should be a combination of all the three. Thank you, sir, for giving me that guidance. So coming to this particular topic, the Saptanga, if you look at it from the popular side, it's not accepted in the scholarly community. Why? Because it's called Prakritya. So I remember the last time when we had presented the paper and Dr. Krishnendu had actually said that you should be using Prakriti rather than a Saptanga. Then we debated that if you look at Prakriti, technically can mean nature, and there are various interpretations. But in popular space, you call it the 7 elements of a state, which in the practicing side you say the elements of a business and etc. etc. So here is to make it a little bit academic and popular combination, saying the Saptanga, the Sapta Prakriti, which comes in the 6th book of Arthashastra. Swami Amatya Janapada Durga Kosha Dandamitra iti Prakriteya. The 7 elements of the state are the king, the minister, the country, the praja, the villages also some people have translated, the fortified city, the treasury, the army, and the ally are the constituent elements of the state. So 7 things put together becomes a great country. So what I'm going to do is that look at one of them, which is our interest right now over here, is the army, which is an important component. Many people say is it 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7? No, it's 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7. Each of them is important. Each of them is interlinked. So the objectives of this particular paper is Chanakya has spoken on the excellence of each of the Angas. So he defines, but in the 6th book he goes and says, what is an excellent king? His qualities. Excellent Amatya, his qualities. So all that has been explained, but we'll focus on the excellence of the army. There is a Danda in detail in this particular paper. Also how Danda is connected to the other Angas. It is not working in isolation. So army cannot work as itself. It has to be interlinking with the other remaining 6 pillars also. 5 out of 15 books of Kautilya Arthashastra deal with war. That time war was a major thing. You never know who is going to kill you. It could be your own son, it could be your own brother, it could be your own father. So it was like a very important component in the psychology of that particular generation. So we can see directly 999 sutras of the books number 9 to 13 been given only to warfare, yet reflected across all the books. So I am telling you specifically 5 books, but we can see more than 3000 sutras across Arthashastra. So the war is an important component, and army is a part of that as well. So the objective finally is to have an interdisciplinary approach among these Angas. So we can't say, it's working in isolation. How do we look at it? So sometimes I like to play around with Arthashastra. When I say play around with, can we look at Arthashastra from out of the box? Can we look at it very differently? So can we look at army with the other remaining 6 Angas? So here is an attempt to look at an interdisciplinary approach. Even in the academic circles, we said don't work in isolation, work with other departments. I'm sure the success of IDSA is that it's able to get so many scholars from different backgrounds looking at the same subject. So can we look at Danda from the aspect of the remaining 6 Angas? So before I start, excellences of the army, as Chanakya says, So this is the excellence of the one pillar called Danda. I'll explain that in points, the same thing. Chanakya talks about totally 11 qualities which goes on to make an ideal army. As ma'am also rightly put it, it's an ideal situation. We may not have all of them, but even if you get 8 on 10, you are better than where you are. So he says the qualities of an excellent army are inherited from the father and the grandfather. What do you mean by inherited from father? Basically, if there is a family culture, you become a better army man. We can see that in the armed forces, if there is a tradition of army, that person is really already trained not only in the systematic institution, but he also gets a training in his background in the family discussions. And genetics is proving that. A combination of a good training and an inherited knowledge also helps. Constant. An army has to be ever committed, obedient, disciplined, with the soldier's son and the wife contented. Now, it's a very interesting approach. An army can only be very good if the family is contented, The family should support it. And also, the government should make sure that they are insured, taken care, etc., etc. Only then they'll be able to fight better. Not disappointed during marches. Ready to go approach. Inherited, unhindered everywhere. That is uninterrupted. They should not worry about what's not going to happen. There should be smooth flow. Able to put up with troubles. Victory should be in spite of. When the army attacks, it's not about I won because of. I should be able to win in spite of. Of course, you should have the best of the resources, but we see things like, guerrilla warfare, where the number of people may be less, the resources may be less, but still, they get victory. Then we have, that has fought many battles, experienced. An army has to be experienced, so it doesn't have to be literally on the warfield, but as they say, the more you sweat during peace times, the less you bleed during war times. So make sure training is a part of it. Skilled in the science of all types of war and weapons. They have to be trained very well. Not having a separate interest because of prosperity and adversity shared with the king. Now, what does this mean? I've been putting a little bit of a thought of this. If, let's say, the economic prosperity is doing very well, you can have better resources for R&D in defense and research. But if not, the king should be able to say, okay, we'll do it, but let's do it together. Consisting mostly of Kshatriyas. Now, this is very important, mostly. See, nothing is perfect. There's always black and a white, and there is a gray, and in white also there is some black, and black also there is one. So the army can never have 100% warriors. But they say at least you can look at an 80-20 concept, where 80% are Kshatriyas. And when it's Kshatriya, again, not by birth, but also by birth is being taken care. But that's more the qualities, the gunas, that make you a Kshatriya. But what is the meaning of mostly? You can also have those guys who may not be Kshatriyas, but are required. So we have the administrative services within the armed forces. They may not have to go in the combat, but at the same time, they can give better services, the labor. So we're saying that mostly it should consider Kshatriyas, but not necessarily all of them should be Kshatriyas by quality. It's always a mix, like in every family. Okay, now looking at the combination, so look at the first Prakriti or the first Anga, that is Swami. So if you combine Swami and Danda, you can have strategic thinking. So what is it? After ascertaining the relative strength or the weaknesses of powers, place, time, revolts in rear, losses, expenses, gains and troubles of himself and of the enemy, the conqueror should march. See, the final button whether to go for the war or no is taken by the king, right? So the army may be ready. But he says king should consult the army and he should know. So he should look at a strategic way of taking the decision. So that's strategic thinking. And then we have already elaborated in the last couple of years about Anvikshiki, the science of strategic thinking. But you cannot do it in isolation. Let's go and attack. Let's talk, let's have a discussion and then decide, looking at all these parameters. Now look at Amatya and army coming together. There's a good consulting that happens, as in Shivaji's case, Ashtapradhan. So he never takes it, he takes them into confidence. All undertakings have their origin in the ministers. Successful execution of works, like successful works in the country, bringing about its well-being and security from one's own and from the enemy's people. Taking countermeasures against calamity, settlement of new lands and the development and upbringing in the benefit of fines and taxes. So if you look at ministers, the council of ministers are consulted everywhere, including warfare. So when the ministers' opinions are taken into account, the king can take a better decision. The first one is Danda. The second is intelligent people in your cabinet ministers. Danda. Now recruitment can happen with Janapada. So Janapada and Danda. Janapada is also translated as, your subjects, and Janapada politically is also called the villages or your constituency. He says, and bravery, firmness, cleverness, and large numbers are found among the country people. So if we want to get a mass of people, we can't get them from the cities. So in the villages, we find brave people, they are firm, because in villages, we find tradition being impacted and tradition being emphasized. So that whole thing that, I have to be devoted for my country, I have to be devoted for my duty, we have that in the villages. Cleverness, they're smart. They're street smart, much better than quite a few educated guys like us. And large numbers. So if you want to go for war and suddenly you have mass recruitment, where do you get from? So while making your army strong, look at where the recruitment comes from. Now look at Danda and Durga. Durga is a fortified city or infrastructure. And in the absence of the fort, the treasury will fall into the hands of the enemy. For it is seen that those with forts are not exterminated. So if you have a strong treasury, a strong fortified city, the army is afraid to attack. We see that in many other cultures also, that the fort being protected by strong walls strategically, the infrastructure plays a key role. In today's world, we can see the better ammunitions and all that, but that's an important part. Look at the next one, which is kosher. If you look at army from the angle of kosher, you ensure financial stability. Smallness of profit and excess of expenditure is decline. Advancement is the reverse case. Equality of income and expenditure and undertaking should be known as a stable condition of himself. So when you are going on a warfare, look at the financial side of it also. Sometimes it is decline, sometimes low, sometimes more. Look into that consideration, because as they say, finally army marches on the bellies. So you have enough resources in every way. Mitra. Okay, now this is something which I put a question mark. More friends. So what is this 8th book of Arthashastra, which again talks on war, talks about, give an indication. When one has an army, even ally remains friendly, or even the enemy becomes friendly. So sometimes the size of the army itself can fear. Not only your ally, they become better allies, and the enemies also become friends. It's a thing that can be debated, but many times, especially in many debates that we find on public forums, do we really invest so much of money on our armed forces? The question remains is that it's not just about, we've not been fighting so many wars for so many seasons, it's become less, one-off, of course. But the fact remains is that it's like, recruiting people to make sure nobody attacks you. As they say, it's not just about offense, but it's also about defense. So maybe some of them gets converted into friends. And as Sir put it rightly, it's a very dynamic thing. You never know. A friend becoming an enemy, enemy becoming a friend, etc., etc. We can go to that mandala theory and look at these combinations. So friends, I would have to limit my time. It's already 1:35. But finally, if you look at any of these components, if I were to look at Arthashastra, whom was it primarily written for? The Arthashastra was primarily written for guiding, training, and referring for a king of that generation. So we can say it, leaders of any particular generation. So how do I get trained? Arthashastra gives you a dimension. Who should be trained? Recruitment, that is also given. But at the finally, if you become a, let's say, number one leader, but sometimes you have problems. So you have a ready reference manual also for that. So all the processes have been documented. You may be number one, but the fact remains that you always have a fallback option to look at the rules of the game. So Chanakya talks about everything. Therefore, the Saptanga model or the Sapta Prakriti is not looking at isolated models of a country, but the big picture. Therefore, as they say, a leader has to look at the totality. Look at the forest, not the tree. Thank you so much.